Welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament Weekly Broadcast. The first game we have is Locutus versus Hao Pan, and Locutus is currently on the top of the ladder, last I checked at least. He is an excellent Protoss bot, known for his impeccable Goon micro, and Hao Pan is a fork of Iron bot, or was at some point, but also one of the top bots and received a lot of updates during the course of the last year or more, and steadily climbing the ladder. And yeah, let's see what openings they have right here. I think this will be a walling off by Hao Pan, and the Locutus is just mining up at the moment, maybe trying to have a proxy base, I don't know. Yes, there is the proxy base, two gateways, and they are just got completed, and Hao Pan is not having any army to speak of, and the first two zealots are out. Will this wall stop them effectively? It can, but you need the repair, and you need to pull off workers from the line for that, which is lost mining time, while Locutus is happily building up his economy right here. Getting scouted, but that doesn't really matter if you don't have an army. And by the SCVs can effectively repair and deter these zealots right here. Eventually they will get overwhelmed, and then again, if you lose mining time, it's not a very good deal. And repairing buildings cost money, while attacking isn't, so this is not a sustainable thing right here. Let's see, we have a factory, and I would rather had a few marines here which can deter these evil zealots, and the first goon is out. The wall is breached, and one tank will not stop this army. Excellent proxy play by Locutus, and Hao Pan was just not prepared this time. The wall was a great touch though, and this game was, I would say, not that close, but could have gone the other way. Anyway, GG, and thank you for your work, both authors. Let's jump into the next game. It is Antigua versus Simplicity. Antigua with the Protoss bot, and Simplicity in the macro Zerg in the right bottom corner. Excuse me, my sense of directions are not the very best right now. So let's see what these gentle bots will do. And Antigua recently re-enabled, added his bot on the ladder, at least making the rounds just recently. Let's see what will be the strategy right here. And not much is happening. Spawning pool first. Let's take a look at the production tab. Oh, there are already gateways underway. Let me slow this down, because this speeding up is excellent when there is nothing happening absolutely, and just the initial phases, but that is over. And this brave zealot is scouting or attacking, I don't know. I didn't see this base scouted just yet, but it is entirely possible that it has been scouted. And these Zerglings, yes, there is the scouting probe, so that is solved, that mystery. And 6 Zerglings here, but where are the other 6 Zerglings of Simplicity, I wonder? Minimap is not really helpful. Oh, they are right here, because you can't really see the green and blue colors of these units. And these Zerglings are in Antigua's main base, but 6 Zerglings is quite easily beaten back. So is there anything in production for Antigua? A few zealots that will surely, well, not surely, but probably will be enough to beat back these, 6 Zerglings, but not the 10 that are at the gates. And especially if you don't attack, that is very harmful to the outcome. But maybe they can hold this attack back. And zealots being hesitant, drones just getting killed and not defending themselves. That is maybe one area Antigua could work on. And in the meantime, Simplicity is basically just Zergling rushing here. I'm not saying full pool because it's not a full pool. Let's see the army units. yeah, with 11 workers and expanding already, so it's not exactly just a full rush, but still. So first natural base getting taken for simplicity. Antigua is a little bit beaten back, but by no means out of this game. And 6 zealots could cause some serious troubles for simplicity. That is if they reach the base in time. And these 4 zealots don't even have lag speed, and yeah, they don't really move that fast, but they are here and they can absolutely take this hatchery down. And let's speed up the events and see if that is the thing that will happen. 5th zealot streaming in, and simplicity is just making maybe desperation zerglings at this point, but Sunken's getting thrown up, and I don't know if that will be enough. I mean, 6 zealots unupgraded as it is, but no, it is just too much. Drones not coming off the line to defend, which is a mistake, I believe, because even just one shot from a drone can make a difference. But the second squad of zealots has just arrived, and simplicity has not succeeded with his Zergling rush or Zergling attack tactic. Well, nice try anyway. GG, let's jump into the next game. Next up we have Ironbot versus Macrave. Macrave also steadily updating his bot during the recent years, and one of the longest standing members of the SSCAIT tournament, which is a redundant statement. It's a Student StarCraft AI tournament and not Student StarCraft AI tournament, but well, you know what I mean. And Ironbot is also a kind of mature bot at this point, and received a lot of updates over the years. By updates I mean it can do a lot of stuff, mostly mech Terran, and that is probably what we will see here. Is that yet yes, it is a barracks just walling off, which is a nice thing against Protoss, because you can make a zealot proof but not marine proof wall and just juke the zealots around, which is something that not many bots do, but many human players do. But still, the walling off the walling off functionality is there. And also I believe the same author who wrote Ironbot has a terrain analysis library called BVEM, which stands for Brood War Easy Map, and it is used by quite a lot of bot authors. And what is interesting, that Macrave has another terrain analyzer, which is BWEB rather, which is, I don't know if it's a fork or some version of BVEM, BWEM that is, but they are performing similar roles, libraries for building placements and everything that is needed to be known about them. In the meantime, a few goons are moving out from Macrave, and the third base is already getting populated. I was a little bit going on a rant about terrain analyzers. Excuse me for indulging on such technical details, but I hope you don't mind. These tanks behind the walls doing quite a lot of damage, and these dragons don't seem to realize that, hey, there is a wall and we can't fire over it. And maybe they're just waiting for the sight range upgrade, and then they can again just get their revenge, but it does not seem to be the case. And let's say take a look at the production tab. 6 tanks versus 5 dragoons. It's quite an uneven matchup, especially if you just walk into the tank fire and cannot return it. A few vultures are out and beginning to mine up the map, which is always a great tactic, especially versus Protoss. Well, especially versus anyone, but it is denying your enemy map control, slowing down the advance. Even with detection and minesweeping, you just slow down the enemy army's advance, which can save a game by itself. And this goon cloud is gathering but not really engaging, and these Templars shouldn't be left alone, I believe, because they can't really attack, and they don't have Storm yet. Do they have? Oh yeah, they have Storm yet, but they are quite reluctant to use it. Dear Templars, yeah, without energy it's a little bit hard to do, so excuse me for being unjust. You can't storm without energy. And the mech army is on the rise. Storm was just going on. Oh, nice hit on these tanks, but one storm is not enough to bring down a tank. You need two, and probably the Templar was not alive or didn't have enough energy to just do so. Nice mine placement in the middle of the enemy army. Difficult to pull off, but Iron just did. And this first army is getting beaten back by McRave. And McRave's army is starting to look good, but alas, there is the minefield, which will stop the advance or slow it down a little. As you can see, even with observers overhead, every now and then a mine will hit, and the Wraith is just here to hunt this observer down, which I think it's a very good choice on Iron's part. And another base getting taken, so McRave is pretty good macro-wise, and although Iron does have more workers, but 3 bases versus 4, although the main for McRave is almost mined out. Nice storming action here, and yeah, we basically see a big tug of war in the middle of the map. Iron steadily altering the army composition. A few Goliaths are out, and I feel Iron is a little bit more responsive in this game, which is always nice to have. He has exactly one Wraith, if I'm not mistaken, yes, dedicated to observer hunting, which is quite a good role to fulfill, as observers don't really fire back, only the supporting units. But there is a shuttle out, and do we have a Reaver? No, we don't have a Reaver yet, so this shuttle is just shuttling about by itself. And will we see a Reaver? I didn't see any robotic support bay just yet, but we do have an Arbiter Tribunal. And no robotic support bay for McRave. I feel we don't have a buildings tab, unfortunately, only the army tab and the production, so I can't see buildings that are actually constructed and finished yet. And this Protoss army is beating back the Terran mech force, but I feel the Vultures are excellent hit and run attackers, and every inch of ground gained is paid with blood, and Vultures are excellent at harassing Zealots because they are faster and ranged. And McRave has quite a lot of Zealots and not enough of, well, everything else, to be honest. I feel maybe this army is getting a little bit stuck here. Maybe this is just a tactical retreat, but when the enemy is at the gates, you have to make sacrifices. You can't be cowardly with your army. And let's see how this pans out. I feel Iron should be expanding. Yes, he is expanding right now. Just one more base, but this base of McRave's, oh, it is depopulated by Vultures and mined up nicely, but still new probes are being produced, which is quite a waste of time, as you can see, because the evil bullying Vulture just appears and shoots it down. But it is quite a waste of resources. Science vessel overhead, so no invisibility for you, Mr. Protoss player, and even though you have an Arbiter out. Nice defensive matrixing, and thanks to that, this Vulture survives the storm, weathers the storm, so to speak. And the Goon army is moving out, but at this point McRave definitely lost his macro advantage. And as you can see, he's not even spending his minerals that well. So I feel even in micro and macro, McRave is outclassed in this scenario. And yeah, you shouldn't storm units that are stasis, although I didn't exactly see which spell was cast first. but yeah, that is another improvement point. And I don't want to trash talk Macrave, because Macrave as a bot has excellent amount of work and functionality in it. I just mean that in this particular matchup he is not quite the winner. And yes, back to the game. I wonder if this science vessel is using EMPs or just defensive matrices. I only saw defensive matrices so far, and Iron is well slowly pushing in, and Iron can definitely afford losses, while Macrave absolutely cannot. So this is a war of attrition, one which is very clearly won by Iron right here. At this point you can't even produce an army that fast. Probes are streaming out, trying to mine from this natural base right here, but the Terran army is right there, so maybe you should not do that. In the meantime, this base is getting, well, more like harassed than depopulated, but yeah, so that. And the main base is being blasted down. I think we can safely conclude that this is the GG. Congratulations, Iron, and let's have the next game. We just can't have enough of Macrave, so the next game is Macrave Zerg versus Sparks. Sparks is a Terran bot, as you can see here, and quite making quite a name for himself lately, as we probably will see right here. And this map is a little bit a weird one with its ramps and everything. There is this base close by, but you can approach it from both sides. But other than that, it's an excellently designed one. I'm not sure where I was going with this map analysis right here, but anyway, got to feel the boring first few minutes of the games. So Macrave is expanding right here, plopping down. Is that a sunken? That is probably a sunken, or no, that's a spawning pool, excuse me. I don't know why did I thought that was a sunken. And there is the natural for Sparks, so basically doing the same thing. Sparks having a lot of money and expanding to this well, not too safe base right here. Rush distance is pretty how do you say it, short for this these bases. And Macrave's Zerglings just found the natural, and Sparks not having any kind of army whatsoever. That is a mistake. This is a game where you kind of need an army to win, so if you don't have one, you will surely lose. SCVs are coming off the line, but it is too late, and expanding to 3 bases before having any kind of army is not something you should do, especially versus a Zerg. So this is a quick win by Macrave, and just basically 2 base Zergling with some Mutalisk coming out just right now, but that's more like for flavor, because the Zerglings have already won the day. So nice try, Sparks, better luck next time. Let's have our first TVT of this cast, which is Insanity Bot versus Sunguk Cha, and I know absolutely nothing of those bots, so I will skip the introductions because of that reason. But someone asked how do I select the replace to feature. It is a very simple algorithm. First I take all the recommendations that has been, well, recommended to me this week, then I look at the freshly updated bots and try to cast that the ones that were recently updated. Other than that, it's basically a dice roll. So if you want to be featured, or rather your bot game you want to feature your bot game? Excuse me for the garbling of the words. Then just notify me. You can do that via the email in the overlay, or just jump on the SSCAIT Discord channel and recommend stuff to us. And with that being said, let's take a look what these gentle bots are doing. Pretty much the same thing to supplies and the barracks for Insanity bot, and the early guess for Sungukcha. How early is, well, it's a matter of interpretation, but usually you build a little bit more before taking your first guess. So will we see a bio or a mech play right here, where a few marines are getting built, and at the same time a factory as well. So there is probably just the initial few marines, and then will be a mech switch. Will we see a long drawn out mech Terran versus mech Terran battle? I wonder. The ones that we usually see with from the top bots like Iron and Crazy O. And first vulture is out. It is a nice support for these two marines. Initial skirmish is going on, and it's just a skirmish instead of a battle, and I like to use that word because it makes me sound smart, or smarter than I actually am. But with that being said, this vulture virtually unopposed has reached this base and blasting down the machine shop, which is researching siege mode, and you should beware because tanks are absolutely devastating versus vultures, as we can see here. Even without siege mode, vultures don't do too much damage versus tanks because they are large units, and vultures don't really do much versus large units. I think 5 damage to be exact, unupgraded. And you can say the same thing in reverse, as Insanity bot's vulture contingent is reaching the base of Sungukcha and doing damage, although not that much because versus buildings vultures are not that effective. First Wraith is out, and while the Wraith is not doing that much damage, he can do it quite unopposed, as Insanity bot has no anti-air whatsoever. Marines are not here, and this tank will get blasted down eventually because it is trying to kill the starport here instead of the vultures, which it could easily do. I don't know how good evaluation is this. Well, the starport is dead, so maybe the tank was right all along, and eventually getting blasted down by these vultures. Then again, the vulture skirmish is going on, but the numbers advantage is on Insanity bot's side. Neither player has really expanded yet, and Sungukcha, yes, it is Sungukcha's base here. Is that a command center? Or yes, it is probably a command center, which is a very bold choice. But in the meantime, these wraiths can wreak havoc in this base virtually unopposed, well, not virtually, really, literally, figuratively, and matter of factually unopposed, as the missile turrets are out of range and there is no anti-air for Insanity bot. And maybe this is the small advantage that will push Sungukcha over the edge and maybe win the game for him. And let's see, one tank has reached the base of Sungukcha, but not doing any damage. Well, I wonder why don't they attack? Oh, they do. Okay, thank you for noticing my suggestion, dear tanks. It is very nice of you. So it is an interesting game because both players are definitely doing damage in the other player's base, but I feel maybe Sungukcha has the advantage right here. There is just one marine that can shoot down these wraiths, but theoretically, but it is not doing so, and Insanity bot is just losing resources left and right with that approach. I don't know why isn't there more anti-air. Vultures returning for Insanity bot from Sungukcha's base, which is not really defended, so with a good push this base could be eradicated. First tank for Sungukcha. Well, I don't know if it's the first, but first I just noticed, unceremoniously blasted down by the mines. And Insanity Bot is on the move again, but the raids are still doing damage. And Insanity Bot is just wasting away minerals, trying to repair these parts and sending SCVs, which are in turn shot down yet again. There is a dropship too. I wonder what's the plan with that. What do you want to drop and where? And the first Goliath is out. I feel a little bit very much late. And yes, Mr. Goliath, please tear down these raids. And Songukcha has not given up making a base close to the enemy. I don't know what's the intent behind it. This game is absolutely all over the place. A lot of action going on left and right, but these vultures get relocated to deal with this. I mean, the raids get relocated to deal with this one vulture. So Songukcha seems to be more responsive to threats. That being said, this game is far from over. Finally, the raids are chased out of this base, and Insanity Bot can finally move out. And the question is, will Destiny be successful? Goliaths are decent against raids. They are mostly an anti-air unit, but versus Vulture, they can stand their ground, as we can see here. And versus raids, they can definitely do a lot of damage, and I think the raids know this, so they just retreat. Or maybe not. They try to be invisible, but there is a science vessel overhead, so that's not really working for you. But in the meantime, a Vulture every now and then gets sneaks into Insanity Bot's base, and you should maybe pay more attention to that. Maybe leave some tanks to defend. And this game is absolutely all over the place. Goliath's getting pulled back, but the vultures are doing the damage. And do we see another base for Songukcha? This base is almost completed in the top right hand corner, which is absolutely the worst place for it, but well, it seems that Songukcha's persistence will finally pay off. No expansion other than that for either player, and there is some skirmish going on yet again. Nice defensive matrix blocking out the mine, and this Goliath gets to live a little bit more. Well, there is a base for Insanity Bot here, but it's not for long. Or maybe it is, I don't know, but if you don't repair it, the blast damage will tear it down very quickly. And Mr. Tanks, please be a little more responsive. You don't need to siege up, you just need to shoot those evil vultures down. And yeah, this command center will burn down by itself. Maybe this SCV will repair it. No, it won't. I feel it won't reach it in time, and even if it does, the vultures are happily blasting away. This sieging, unsieging is losing a lot of time for Insanity Bot, but this command center is saved. Unbelievable as it is saved. And large stream of mines leading to Insanity Bot's base, and I feel that will be very detrimental to Insanity Bot's units. And you can only see that in the minimap, because it's a little bit hard to tell these mines apart without selecting them. These two tanks are being very lazy here, and Songukcha happily mining away from this base. I wonder what will be the end of this. Another raid for this time from Insanity Bot, and did we just miss a drop? Quite likely, and I think I won't be rewinding this this time. And yeah, I feel Insanity Bot will mine out quite soon. While Songukcha is, well, the main will mine out, but there is the base for Songukcha, and there isn't a mining base for Insanity Bot here, because no SCVs, thanks to these good boy vultures right here. And I wish I could see how many minerals are left in this base. And Insanity Bot has only 10 workers. I wonder where did they go? Maybe get picked off by vultures, or just gone off to trying to repair stuff. And these raids are, I don't know what those SCVs were doing, but these raids killed them quite effectively. 7 workers for Insanity Bot, and he is not making more. You should make more workers, that's the basis of the economy. And I would say the macro is on Sungukcha's side, but it is a weird statement considering he has literally just one more mineral base. So this has been a weird game, I must say, but it is quite interesting, and I'm very curious about the reasoning behind those decisions. And well, let me speed this up because I fear this is a foregone conclusion at this point, but yeah, there is a lot of polish needed to be done for these bots, like responding adequately to threats, not getting stuck in ramps, and so on, like evaluating if you should siege up. But other than that, nice display for both bots, and thank you for your hard work, dear bot authors. I can't say that enough. Please continue developing your bots so we can see awesome, quirky and potato games as well. Thank you again, and let's jump into the next game. Up next we have ForceBot versus MadMix Protoss. MadMix Protoss uses a diverse arrangement of units, so I'm really hoping we will get to see that. And ForceBot is just a strong Zerg. And let's see in this map, yeah, they are both in the opposite corners. So the first thing that we'll do. Up next, it's ForceBot versus MadMix Protoss, and ForceBot is a quite a strong Zerg bot, while MadMix is using a quite diverse array of units, which is always a delight to see, to be honest, because there are units that have been more featured, and there is a lot of untapped potential. Forge first for the Protoss player right here, along with a few pylons, and meanwhile scouting is going on and the player expanding to its natural base. Spawning pool done, not much army, as in 0 army for both players. This base is getting scouted, no scouting going on for ForceBot, which is maybe a mistake. Then again, maybe not. First 8 Zerglings are out, and I feel these 2 cannons will do a good job keeping them away. That is if they find the enemy base first, which they won't because they didn't scout properly. And in the meantime, what is getting produced, I wonder? Just more Zerglings and drones, and gateway and a simulator for the Protoss player. So we will probably see some kind of gateway army next, maybe dragoons. You kind of need to guess for that. At this moment, no cybernetics core getting built, so dragoons are a little bit later than this. And what is this? Another hatchery? Yes, it is a macro hatchery for the Zerg player. And basically this is just probing and preparing. A Zergling run-by is attempted but not very successful. MadMix has quite wisely put down a cannon to protect its base's mineral line. Good job, you should do that. And the first 4 zealots are on the revenge path, and 6 Zerglings are no match for them, but they stop halfway through. Another Zergling attempts to run by. Yeah, if you failed once versus that many cannons, you won't be successful next time with fewer Zerglings than that. And both players are just gathering their army. Let's see, do we have dragoons? No, we still don't have dragoons. Robotics facility is on the way for the Protoss player, which might mean reavers, might mean shuttles. defensive Sunkens getting thrown up. It's basically a turtling match at this point. Lot of zealots for Madmix, 14 to be exact, and a little bit tussle going on in the middle of the map, but nothing really serious. And it seems that Forcebot has decided that Zerglings are the only unit that you will ever need, and that is not always the case. First two dragoons are out, first four dragoons are out, but the first two are in the front line and steadily streaming in, while another base is getting taken by Madmix. So macro-wise, Madmix is getting ahead, unless this Zergling can discover and destroy it in itself, which I find unlikely. And the Protoss army probing in, but retreating, seeing that many Zerglings. I don't know how wise is that, but at the present moment there is no larger scale engagements are going on. Both players are trying to protect their armies, not sending them into the fray blindly, which is a wise choice, well, except losing this overlord for literally nothing. There was some attempt at an expansion here, I believe, and shut down quickly by the Protoss player. And I have to say that the Zerg is quite contained, and as I say, this drone just sneaks out and gets a new base plopped down. So no, not effectively contained, but somewhat contained, and this Zealot just discovers this base, and yeah, it destroys it eventually. And the scout getting made, two scouts, I don't know what for, because there are no air units beside overlords for the Zerg player, so this is quite an interesting decision. Scouts are widely regarded as the most useless unit in the game. They don't really do anything that well, and they absolutely abysmal versus Scourge, and I don't know what's the intention behind that. Let's say Forcebot is gathering its army to natural, but not making anything else than Zerglings and Hydralisks, and maybe not enough of those either. Macro archery is quite a good choice, because all the larvae are used up almost, as I see, and but the production is falling behind, losing a lot of Zerg units. This lurker was not a bad choice, but just one lurker can't really do anything. Protoss army is beaten back, but I feel Madmix is in an advantageous position by now, getting this natural, well, not natural, but expansion destroyed. Protoss army can afford losses, but the Zerg army technically can, but when they are at your natural, they threaten your workers, you are in a bad position. And middle base getting taken by Madmix, and that is the fourth base right now. Even though the main is mined out, the production is certainly much more for Madmix, and eventually these two bases will run out. And while Madmix can take a new bases unopposed, Forcebot quite clearly can't. There's a carrier out even. I feel Madmix is just playing for fun at this point, and not trying to win, just trying to feature as many units as he possibly can. Even a Dark Templar is out, getting discovered and very quickly killed. But yeah, this is heading in one direction, and not heading too fast, but I feel I see no way for Forcebot out of this. And it's a quite interesting usage of different units, even though might not be the most effective one, but still the ends justify the means, so Madmix very clearly won this game. GG, let's have the next one. Let's continue with another PVZ, which is Marian Deveka's Killer Bot versus Banana Brains Banana Bot, and Killer Bot has been an excellent and long-standing contender as well on the SSCAIT ladder, known for his excellent Merciless Hydra and Mutalisk plays, at least, reasonably well known. And Banana Brain is a very excellent Protoss player, Protoss bot by Johan de Jong, who I've been interviewing in the Undermined podcast multiple times. If you don't know what the Undermined podcast is, well, first of all, shame on you. Second, it is a podcast about StarCraft Brood War AI development, and you can find it on my site, makingcomputerdotings.com. And with that being said, let's see what these bots will do. And that is a spawning for pool for sure, because it literally can't be anything else. And in the meantime, a few gateways are getting thrown up. Well, the few means two in this case. Scouting is already done by this now dead drone. And I wonder, is there a scouting probe? Yes, there is a scouting probe. I just missed it from plain sight. And there is an expansion for Killer Bot, and these are protective Sunkens, I believe, and it seems like, yes, 2 Sunkens are on the way. You can't be too careful versus those sneaky Protosses. And Overlords overhead, I don't know what's the benefit of that, other than being easily killed by Dragoons, but hey, it's your choice. And no expansion for Banana Brain just yet, and few Zealots are streaming out, and the Lings are retreating quite wisely to the safety of the Sunkens. Well, the relative safety of the Sunkens, that is, but at this early stage of the game, Sunkens can provide quite a lot of cover and, well, ablative armor, if nothing else, versus these strong Zealots right here. And Overlords are very wisely going back, and there is a Stargate already. And this suggests to me that maybe we will see Corsairs, because that is something that can be done at this stage of the game. And yes, the first Corsair is already underway, and these Overlords will quickly get killed by them. First Hydra is out for Killer Bot. I don't know if that's because of the Stargate or just because he decided to. And I would say the game is quite balanced at this point, but Marian Devaka will get supply blocked soon as the second Overlord is killed, but yeah, this Overlord is not protected. These two Overlords rather are not protected, and even though there is a Hydra, if you kill just one of them, I think it's worth it. And no, you can't kill one of them. This Hydra saves the day and the hide of these Overlords, but there is another Corsair, and these Overlords are under constant pressure, and Killer Bot will get supply blocked soon. I feel, although the first few Mutalisks are out, and they can make all the difference in the world. And Killer Bot narrowly avoided getting supply blocked. A very nice play, but the harassment is not over. And in the meantime, there is some action going on. The Muta Cloud is quite large by now. There is 8 Mutalisks now, and not much anti-air for Banana Brain right now. And with this sad area music going on in the background, this engagement just become much more dramatic, and yeah, poor Zealots getting blasted down by this Muta Cloud. A few more would be very nice, and they are arriving all the time. And the tide has turned. There is only one cannon that can do any kind of anti-air work. Well, there is one Corsair, but versus this many Mutas, this is almost negligible. Mutas, I mean Corsairs, getting driven back, and the natural is completely unpopulated, and Killer Bot is on the warpath. Let's see, tacking up, building buildings, and generally just winning the game. Maybe too much Zealots at this point. A few Dragoons or other units could have turned the tide, but if you only have courses as anti-air, you're gonna have a bad time versus Mutalisks. But quite a good attempt, and it wasn't a done deal from the start. I think the natural base was quite threatened, but in the end Killerbot prevailed. Nice game, and let's just have the next one. Next, here is Redram, a new kid on the block, so to speak. Turrenbot recently, well, fairly recently uploaded to the ladder, and the opponent is Purple Wave by Dangant, the winner of last year's SSCAIT competition. Let's see what these bots will do. And let me speed up the initial stages as it is customary by now. And this is what is, yeah, supply depot. I just couldn't see properly. And quick expansion by the Terran player, which is might be not the wisest choice here, as Purple Wave, no, Purple Wave is not on the warpath, so you are safe for the time being. Let's take a look at the production tab. First Dragoon is out, and not wasting a single second to reach this base. And this Terran player I worry for, because no army as of yet. And we see in the saw in the previous games that early army is of utmost importance. Even if it's just a few marines, you need to have a defensive force. You can't get away with that fast expansions that early. And well, that's not true in 100% of the cases, but mostly you can't, and Redram did not. The first factories are getting built. Well, this command center is providing a stopgap measure for the advancement of against the advancement of the Protoss army, which Protoss army consists of exactly one Dragoon. I wonder what Purple Wave is doing back home. Well, basically building all the buildings, Templar Archives done, and Citadel of Adun, and the first Dark Templar is out. And quite possibly Redram has no means of detection. Well, this is surely a comsat station, but it is not done yet. First tank is out, but will get killed. No, we won't get killed by the Dark Templar. The second comsat station scans it, and yeah, detection was done just in time. And the Terran army is actually on the counterattack. And that is a surprising turn of events, although these Dark Templar shots that counterattack down fairly quickly. And do we have energy here? No, we probably do not. So this Dark Templar has free reign, and very wisely choosing to shut down this comsat station, because this is quite literally the only unit that can threaten him, as it does threaten and kill him. Well, not this comsat, but the other one. But then again, the comsat is out of energy, and the Dark Templars can hit very hard. They are basically your essential glass cannon unit. And Purple Wave very wisely discovered that he has an advantage with those. Or I don't know if that was a discovery or an adaptation or any kind of reactive plan, or just tried the Dark Templar play and managed to get very successful with it. But yeah, as you can see, there is literally no opposition for the Dark Templars. A few missile turrets in the back preventing them from totally invading the mineral line, but that is not true for the natural base, and this is just slowly getting decimated. And I wonder what is Purple Wave making in the background. Well, Purple Wave has 3 mining bases, and the steady stream of gateway units just started, even with Arbiter support, which is quite unnecessary at this point, but well, it could not hurt. And this gateway army will just rolled up this base, as there are no opposing military units for Redram. So Redram, nice try, but I feel the opening could be refined a little. Thank you, and let me just speed it up until the conclusion and call the GG. but I think losing against literally the top bot or the winner of last year's SSCIT competition is nothing to be ashamed of. GG, and let's jump into the next game. Next, it's Woolybot versus Brian Weber. Brian Weber as the white Zerg and Woolybot as the blue Protoss. In the blue corner and in the white corner, I could have just said that. Unfortunately, we don't have more colors, because then we could have some more interesting combinations. But hey. And the first scouting probe sent out early for Woolybot, and the probes are reacting well. One probe trying to chase it down, but as it is customary with these matters, chasing down the scouting worker is quite a hard task if you try to do it with your own workers. And the first two gateways are done for Woolybot. Will we see a fast gateway army right here? Probably, yes. The first two zealots are on the way, but then again, so do the first two Zerglings and the macro hatch for Brian Weber. And the chasing game just evolved, but this probe is doing all the juking in the world, and it is not even that damaged. Eventually it will get chased down, but until then it has perfectly good scouting information for the Protoss player, and occupying these military units, the 6 or 10 Zerglings by now, which could be used elsewhere more effectively, I feel. And these 4, 5, how many 6 zealots we have, they are reluctant to engage, might as well so, because they are a little bit scattered, returning home, and maybe just fighting on the ramp would be a much wiser move, but they are not even doing that. They could have used that choke point versus the Zergling army. In the end they kind of did, but I feel that was not really intentional. This dancing of back and forth is always interesting. Different bots have different criteria for engaging in battles, and those criteria and thresholds are changing frame by frame, so the dancing is usually the conclusion of that evaluation. So hesitating is very hard to avoid with these matches. Either you throw away your army, or you try to over optimize it, and there is very hard to find a balance between those two. But and in the end, Woolybot just made enough Zerglings to overwhelm the Zerg player, and Brian Weber has no other forces left, and this quite simple zealot army will just destroy this base in a minute. Well, it was a short game. Let's have the next one. Last game for today is another TSCMO bot, TSCMO random, this time playing Terran versus Crazio Protoss, the Cannon Rush, Dark Templar and Carrier bot, which is written by, just for fun by Crazio, whose Terran bot was quite accomplished but currently is disabled on the ladder. We hope that it will return soon. And TSCMO is, well, it's just TSCMO, and widely known for its unusual plays and evil surprises. Well, that is from the perspective of the opponent. And this is basically a proxy barracks here. And will this be an effective tactic versus Crazio? I wonder. Well, doing quite a lot of damage versus these probes, but these probes are out and they are doing the cannon rush, or attempting to. And yeah, they don't really engage versus this one marine. No, I was wrong, they do engage. It is sometimes hard to see the little welding beam of these kind little robots. Cannon Rush is shut down by these SCVs, and the SCVs are on the move. This is a wacky game. Basically, all TSCMO did was make like 4 marines and send the SCVs in, and sometimes that is just enough. And as I said before, your surprises is the trademark of TSCMO. Thank you for everyone participating in this tournament. I conclude the cast with this very funny game, and please do not cease to update and just carry on developing your own bots. If you're just watching and want to develop a bot, maybe check out my site on www.makingcomputerdothings.com, where I document my own stuff, or join our Discord, where you can interact with us bot authors. We don't bite, we actually like new people joining this magnificent hobby. Or if you just want to watch, then do that, and see you next week. Goodbye.